Okay, next up, we've got a question from Mojo24. It says, how do you decide what to do with large sums of money? I have about $400K sitting in a high yield savings account. I want to buy a home in the future, but my current rent is so low that I've been putting it off. So should I keep this money in a high yield savings account or should I do something different?
Well, this is an easier problem to have now than it used to be, right? It used to be harder when you were sitting on cash because cash was trash. It was, just wasn't paying anything, Brian. You remember when cash was paying like 25 basis points, and that's if you found a really, really good payer.
That was the high yield savings accounts.
That was the high stuff. And now your cash can make over 5%. But Mojo does, or he or she does, provide an interesting quandary. I want to buy a house. I have a use for these dollars, but my time period is a little uncertain, right? So I think where my mind went immediately, and I'm curious if you're the same, first thing you definitely have to do is you have to use the financial order of operations as your rubric. Can you hold up the thing, Brent? Yeah. If I've got this large sum, have I done 1? Have I done 2? Have I done 3? Have I done 4? Have I done 5? Have I done those things? And assuming that you are now in step 7, in hyperaccumulation, at that stage, I think then you can start thinking through, okay, what's the best use of these dollars above and beyond the 25%? Agree with that assessment?
Well, I think immediately what came to my mind was you have to stratify your timeline. Mm-hmm. I mean, be honest with yourself, brutally honest. Is this home purchase going to occur in the next 3 years or likely? And if it's like a 75% chance that you're going to need every bit of this $400,000 for the down payment in the next 3 years, you gotta put a moat and court it off. Just protect that cash reserves, keep it in cash reserves, even though you're probably having the itch to go do something else with it. But if you need this money in the next 3 years, it needs to stay liquid. If you stratify by the fact that no, you think you've got a great, maybe somebody, because we had a house here in the community that we had. I can't remember if we had 2 employees or 3 employees that had worked through. It was somebody had a really nice like beginner home. They'd moved away and they were now renting it, but they were a couple that they weren't trying to take advantage of where market rates were or anything like that. They just didn't want to sell it because they loved this house. They felt like they might come back to the community and they might want this house back. So they were just looking for good families to rent this house at good prices. And I love that we had multiple employees that just cycling through it. But it's now we got to a point where nobody wanted it. But it is one. So you might have found somebody who's offering a great deal. They just want a great tenant to protect their house, take care of their house. So it's better than market on what you're paying for this. And you're going to be in this house for the next 5 years. Because it doesn't make sense to go buy a house at overvalued prices when you're in this under market rent situation. If that's the case, then you now have a bigger decision because you can stratify the timeline to say, yeah, this money might have a longer time horizon than what I need for liquidity purposes.
And if you do stratify it out and you figure out, I do have a longer timeline, my opinion on a sum this large, let's say it's $400,000, or you said it was $400,000. There's nothing wrong. Okay, I'm pretty sure I'm not going to need this inside of the next 3 years, but maybe it's 3 to 5, maybe it's 5 to 7. I don't think there's anything wrong with implementing a low nominal dollar cost averaging strategy. So again, I'm going to use a number. Maybe it's $3,000 a month. I'm just kind of making this off on the fly, not knowing your situation. All right, I've got this money sitting in cash. I'm just going to start dollar cost averaging into a low cost index fund every month, $3,000 a month, $3,000 a month. Well, a year from now, I will have invested $36,000 of that cash, but I'll probably have a better idea of where my housing situation is. And if it still looks like it's going down the road, then I'll just keep that going on. And maybe I'll do $3,000 over the next 12 months. Well, now I've got $72,000 that I have. And you can just continue to approach it that way. Well, if you get far enough out, the money you started dollar cost averaging 5 years ago, maybe the dollars that are available today to go out and buy the house or utilize it for the house whenever that comes up. I don't think that's a bad strategy to think about when it comes to big dollars.
And also just know the why for this, because maybe you're not buying a big enough house that you need $400,000. Go back, and once again, it comes right back to full circle to the financial order of operations. What are your cash reserve needs? How much above and beyond that are you? And then even add to that cash reserves what you need for the next 3 years for this down payment. And once you're over that, then yes, you can be even more aggressive with your dollar cost averaging investment plan to kind of get the army of dollar bills working for you.
That's right.